Mike Elk is joining me. He's staff writer for In These Times magazine. We met Mike at Netroots Nation 2011 in Minneapolis. Great to talk to you, Mike. We've been talking about a lot of different labor stories over the last year, everything from Boeing and its movement of labor strategically around the country. We've been talking about labor over in Asia as it pertains to Apple, as it pertains to Walmart's shrimp, and a number of different stories. And we've only touched a little bit on child labor, but recently you've been doing a lot of work on President Obama and policy on child labor. So maybe that's a good place to start. What's been going on?
The Obama administration announced that they were going to cut a rule about 3 years ago, make a rule to regulate the way that the types of occupations children can work on the farms. Children that work on farms as young as 12, often immigrant, migrant children, work with very dangerous equipment. This type of equipment often leads to workplace deaths in this situation. And, you know, it's seen that child farm workers die at 6 times the rate of of children working in other industries. So this is a big problem that needs to be regulated. Now, the Obama administration has been working on a regulation for 3 years. And in advance of announcing their campaign this Thursday, this week, they announced last Thursday that they were going to drop all attempts to regulate the dangerous occupations that children are forced to work in farms. Now, let's get something straight. They had dropped it under political pressure from Sarah Palin, as well as Al Franken, who claimed that the rule would hurt family farmers. Yet the rule had exempted family farmers and anybody making less than $250,000. Also, the rule wasn't finalized yet. It was only in the public comment period, where if family farmers went to weigh in, the rule could have been crafted in a dozen different ways to accommodate industry. So instead of compromising and making an awful compromise like the Obama administration always does, Obama said flatly, we are not going to regulate this period in our administration.
Okay, so let's take it there for a second. You mentioned one of the common controversies or sticking points when it comes to child labor and the family farm, right? Because that's often the argument we hear that, listen, when the whole family for generations has worked on and around a farm, it's just kind of natural that the kids start helping out when they're 10, 12, as you mentioned, and that's really who's going to be hurt by a lot of this regulation. But what you're saying very clearly is that if there was the political will to do so, that situation could be remedied to really address the more egregious, broad-scale, true child labor problem that we're talking about.
Yeah, family farms were exempted. I mean, and even Al Franken was saying, oh, we're concerned about how family farms being negatively affected. They were exempted. Any farm that made under $250,000 was exempted. And if you know anything about the poverty wages that most farmers make in this country, to make $250,000 a year on a farm is pretty non-typical of the industry.
And to be clear, is that gross revenues or is that net income for the owner?
It's net income.
Okay, all right. So yeah, that is certainly that's a substantial barometer.
It's a substantial barometer, and they could have moved the barometer to accommodate people. And they would have. They could have limited the number of occupations that children are in. They could have watered down the rule till it was practically nothing. But instead, they simply withdrew the rule and said, we are not going to do this in our administration.
Okay, so wwhy do you think that was done? Is this political pressure that's mounting on President Obama?
Sarah Palin and other people are beating up on them in rural America about this issue, and they want to win votes in rural America, and they don't want to be labeled as kicking kids off of working at farms. Even though that's totally not true, and the rule already exempted it.
Okay, so what's the next step here? Is there any other potential legislation that's on the line, or is this just kind of it for this issue until it's brought up again?
It's it. I mean, they're like, we're going to work with some 4-H programs to promote more safety on farms. But the problem is 4-H targets white kids that works on farms. This rule was intended to help them often migrant brown kids that work on farms, and it's not going to do that.
I think there's a kind of assumption by many that this is really an issue only in one part of the U.S., specifically the southwest part, particularly along the border. Talk a little bit about the actual distribution of the child labor problem across the country.
I mean, it happens everywhere. It happens in Pennsylvania, my home state. It happens in Illinois. I mean, 2 teenage girls that were working on a farm were electrocuted to death last summer in Illinois. So it's something that happens all over the country.
Why do you think the stereotype is that, and I think it may be related to the discussion about immigrants taking your jobs, that there's kind of maybe those two things together give people the idea this is a problem, it's a very isolated problem only in border states. Do you think that's a factor?
I definitely think that's a factor, that people think it's only a problem in border states. You can go anywhere in this country and find lots of migrant labor. I mean, you can probably, in Pennsylvania, my home state, you can find a lot of it.
All right, we've been speaking with Mike Elk, staff writer for In These Times magazine. Mike, keep up the great work, and In These Times, you guys are doing some excellent reporting, and looking forward to seeing you at Netroots in June.
Yeah, I'll see you there too.